Hello everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back with me at Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. So happy to have you here with me today. And here is our host code for January. Let's get the little housekeeping things out of our way. If you spend $50 or more on my online store at Stampin' Up, use this host code when you check out and you'll get a free gift from me that will be mailed out the middle part of the following month. So use the host code, go shop. Also, if you spend $75 at my online store, you will automatically go into a drawing for a free stamp set and die set. And this is the stamp set. And let me find the dies. They are called Happy, and they are right here. Now yours will not look like this when you get them. They'll be brand new in a package, but this is the So Much Happy and the Happy Dies. I do have some cards on my channel where I use this, so if you need some inspiration, if you happen to be the winner, so go and shop for those. Go and shop, have fun in my store, $75 or more, and that's before shipping and tax. So keep that in mind when you're filling up your basket. $50 or more, use the host code. You also need to use the host code for the $75 or more in order to be entered into the drawing. So I'm so excited. I hope that everyone will come out, shop, and we'll have a drawing the first Monday, I think, or Tuesday, the end of the month. I might wait and do it on the 1st of February. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just say February 1st, I will do a random drawing for the people that have spent $75 or more in my store. Everybody will get the free gift from me, but the ones that spend $75 or more will be in the drawing for that stamp set. Okay, without any further ado, we all know that Valentine's Day is coming up, and I needed a Valentine's card. Let's zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to try my best to stay in frame with y'all today. So here is our Valentine card, and I'm going to do my best to stay right in this frame so that y'all can see what I'm doing. I used a couple of different stamp sets and dies, but here is the inside. I love the inside. You're just like chocolate. You make everything better. And this is the Valentine card that I made for my husband, because he is better than chocolate. And that's saying a lot because us girls love our chocolate. If you see here, I did a tone on tone, white on white, but I did an embossing folder. I did the Scripty embossing folder. I kind of topped this off with some gems. I did a black banner that said Be My Valentine. I did a 3-tier frame, black, red, and white. And we're going to make this card. So let's get started. I'm so excited. Alright, first and foremost, here's our pieces. I have a basic white cardstock that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have my white piece that we're going to do our embossing on, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4. Get my measurements straight here, and everything will pop up here on the screen so you will be able to see. We have a red piece that we're going to cut our heart out of. I have a black piece that we're going to heat emboss on. It looks like I got some embossing powder. We'll use that side. We're going to stamp and heat emboss and cut out our banner. And then I have my 3 pieces for my inside, and we'll get to those as we go. But let's go ahead and start at the beginning, and that's going to be embossing, using our embossing folder. Also, let me show you, I'm using the red rhinestones. Those are our gems that we're going to use. I'm using 2 stamp sets, Always in Your Heart, and I'm using that Be My Valentine. I'm using the Floral Heart Die set that goes with the Always in My Heart. And there has probably been a little bit of confusion. It was on my part. This is the stamp and die set that's bundled. The Floral Hearts and Always in My Heart. These bundle. There's also a Forever and Always stamp set. And there's a die set that's called Always. Now these bundle together and these bundle together, but you can intertwine them and use them together. So as you can with everything with Stampin' Up. But this is not the set that we're using today. Just thought I'd pull that over and clarify. Always in My Heart and the Floral Hearts bundles together. And this is the die that we're going to use, and we're going to cut this out of that real red. And this set also comes with a second sheet of dies. So if you get this, do not overlook that these dies, and we're going to use that banner die. So I'm going to lay those two dies out and then get this over out of my way. Let's put this right here. And I'm using the Scripty embossing folder, and this is a 3D embossing folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my Whisper White piece down, and I'm going to line this up with the line that's on here, making sure I'm getting it in the orientation I want. Once you lay it down, then fold your folder over on it. Keep it closed, that way your script is going to run this way, and you want to make sure that you're on that line, especially if you are, I think anytime it's words, everything needs to make sure it lines perfect. So I'm doing my best to make sure that that's lined up good. And I am going to run this through my embossing folder using my number 4 plate. And you don't need any of your other plates, so I'm moving out my 2s and my 3, my 2 and my 3s. And I'm going to run this in. And everything with this machine runs so smooth, it is unreal just how smooth it is. So let's go ahead and build everything back up, because we're going to need to use the cutting part of this in just a moment. But now we're going to open this up and peel this off and look at that. I hope it's picking that up. That is a beautiful, beautiful embossing folder. So now I'm going to lay this out of my way, and we are going to go ahead and adhere this to the front of my card. But I'm going to use my bone folder, and I am just going to get these edges down nice and, oops, you know what, I've gotten red ink on that. Let's see. Yeah, let's go that way. And I don't think that's going to matter. So what I want to do now is maybe I had ink on this. I don't know where that ink came from. I do have red ink on my fingers because I was working with that other card earlier. Very well could have gotten some red on me from that. But nevertheless, I'm going to use my liquid glue to glue this down. And I do like to use liquid glue anytime that I'm working with an embossed piece, because it gets into those little nooks and crannies. And I'm usually very generous with my ink when I'm using an embossing folder, because you do have all of that edging back there that you want to make sure, not edging, but the little nooks and crannies, which is normal. So I am just going to lay this down, making sure I get my border around there, and I got glue on me, so of course I'm always getting glue and ink all over me. Alright, once we get that down, you see that beautiful tone on tone. I love that look. It adds just a little bit of elegance to our cards that you don't normally get. Alright, so while I'm working, I am going to go ahead and run this through the die machine. So let's lift that up, and these are some of your bits and crumbs. I would save this heart because you can definitely use that on something else. And now we're going to pull the heart away from there and then pull it out of our die. And you are going to have just some of these little pieces that, you know, and you can use the little brush that we have, our little, if I can find it. I have my puppy dog under me, so I'm not able to move my chair. If y'all have your little loveys, you might have that same problem and understand. I'm just going to use the pick part of my tool, and I'm going to just pick these little pieces out. It takes a little bit longer, but you know what? It's okay. I don't want to run over her little feet or her tail, and she is resting very comfortably right under my feet, which is under my chair. That's my little Bella. She stays very close to me, as does Toby. He's right here too. They're always close by whenever I'm crafting, as many of you already know. So we're just going to poke. This is why one of these little pokey tools is just absolutely a must. If you're die cutting, you need a pokey tool. So go order one. Best $10 you're going to ever spend for your crafting. And I think we got them all out. That looks really good. So I'm going to take this down to my trash and just get rid of all of this off of here. We're going to do a little bit of everything today. We are going to be cutting, die cutting, embossing. We're going to be doing some heat embossing. We are just going to be doing a little bit of all of it today. And we're also going to be using our Stamparatus. So many elements are going to go into this card. This is a card that I would say you need to make for someone that you care about, because it is a tedious card, it is time consuming, but it is so beautiful when you're done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some mini glue dots, and these are my little bitty ones, and you may even have to cut some of these. So let's pull out our scissors, and I am going to cut some of these little pieces right here, just like this, because you're going to need some itty bitties to put on the back of this. And see what I mean? You're going to need some little bitty ones, because I want to pop this up. I want to give it some dimension, and this is the perfect place to use those edges of our little stamping dimensionals, and not have to worry about our pieces poking out from behind. So I'm just strategically placing some of these, and you got some bigger places where you can use a full mini glue dot, and if you can, then do, like here, maybe there. So wherever you think you can get away with a full-size glue dot, do it. But then if you can't, just use these and just cut little slivers like that. And if you wanted to, you could glue this straight down, but I think it's going to be so pretty popped up. So that's why I went through the trouble of cutting these little tiny pieces to put on here. And that's why I said this card is just one of those little make-a-fuss type cards that you would make for someone very dear to you. And this card is, like I said, for my husband, and he is very dear to me. And you're going to see how beautifully this card comes together. I wonder if we got enough. I think we need a couple more. So I'm going to go up this side and get just one that's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, and pull those two off. I'm going to put one right here, and maybe one right there. Maybe one more right there, and we will call it done. So I am going to use my take your pick. These are going to be a little tedious to get off, so you might want to just peel them off like that and just lay them over to the side, because these are, you can probably poke those off, but the little ones that we cut, they are going to be just a little tedious to pull off with the take your pick tool. We can try. Well, that one worked. What it is, they're slick and you don't have enough space there to get a hold of it. So if you cannot get a hold of it, then you can't very well poke it to put a hole in it, if that makes sense. Alright, I'm just checking the ones to see where I started. Come on. That one came off. Okay, that one's off. These need to come off. Okay, we're just going to keep working. Alright, now we have it all ready. Oops, one has stuck to my finger. There we go. Be very careful and try to get a hold of it in a place where there's no dimensions. And then you're going to want to lay it down, and I like to center it as best we can. And see the dimension? That just adds so much to that card. I think it does. Alright, I'm going to rake all of these little pieces and put them in my trash. And now we're going to go ahead and prep this piece for our heat embossing. So I've got my coffee filter, I've got my little embossing buddy. Stampin' Up does not sell these anymore, but you might already have one from time past. You might have gotten yours from Inkadinkadoo. I think they sold these. There's a lot of companies that do sell those particular. And I've got Be My Valentine loaded up on my block. I am going to run this through my cleaner just to make sure I've gotten it nice and clean. And I'm going to grab my Versamark ink, and I am going to ink it up. And then I'm going to stamp this right up here at the top, just like that. And I should have put my little mat under it, but I didn't. But I've got a pretty good image there, so I think it might be okay. So now I'm going to bring out my white embossing powder and my coffee filter. And if you don't, I think everybody's got a coffee filter, but if you don't want to use a coffee filter, you could use a piece of copy paper and fold it in half, and you would be able to get your embossing powder back into your cup, your little container. But I did it twice because I want to make sure, and then I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to look and see if I got embossing powder anywhere that I didn't want it, and I don't see any, so I think we're good. So I'm going to pour this back in here before I bring out my heat tool. You don't want to bring out a heat tool with open embossing powder. So close that up and get that out of the way. Now I'm going to let my heat gun heat up for just a few minutes, so bear with me. It works much better if you let it heat up for just a few minutes before you take it to your paper. Now I am going to turn it on, and I'm going to grab my tweezers. I have a pair of reverse tweezers. These actually came with my Cricut. And I'm going to hold this with those so that I don't burn myself. And I'm ready to go. So I am just going to go in little circular motions until I start to see that melt. Once you see it melting, you don't want to heat it up too long because you don't want to burn the paper. But you do want to make sure it's completely melted. Sorry for that noise. I know that that gets a bit noisy through the mic, but I wanted to be able to talk to you while I was doing it. So there is our image, and I can rub it and nothing comes off, so we know that it's good and set. So now we're going to take that other die, this one right here, and I am going to center it over top of this, about like that, because I'm going to cut this off here and here. I'm not going to use all of that. If I wanted to use that entire banner, I would have made sure that my paper was longer, or I would have done it like that. But since I'm not, I want to get this centered exactly where I want it. Let's see if I want it to go this way, maybe this way. I think I like it just like that. And then once I get it where I want it, I am going to use a a Post-it tab, and I'm going to lay that down, and then I'm going to run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And then when you bring that back over, you're going to have something like this. Now I'm going to cut, you have indentation lines on here. If you can see the indentation lines, I'm going to cut on this first line and the first line there, because I want to just cut those away. That's how I know that I'm going to get my piece exactly the way I want it. And then I can throw those little tabs away, and I've got my Be Your Valentine that we're going to put right across here like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some liquid glue to put this down with, and a little bit of glue on each end. You don't need anything in the middle. If you wanted to put a dimension, you could. Maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. So let's take one full-size dimension, and we'll stick that right in the middle. That will give it a little bit more stability. I didn't do it on my first card, but we'll try it on this one. And then I want this to touch here and here. So I just want that to go right across the middle of my heart like that. Yeah, and that does help stabilize that by putting that dimension in the middle. So that looks very pretty. So now what I want to do, while I'm on the front, I am going to take my little red rhinestones, and these are in the annual catalog. These other items, the Scripty embossing folders in the annual catalog, but this particular die set and the stamp set is not. It is in the new mini catalog that goes from January through June. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool, and I am just going to put down like 3 and 3, and I want to show you this putty end of this tool. If you have trouble getting these off, if you will just rub them straight up using your putty tool, it takes them off and it puts them right where you want them, just like that. So I'm going to use 3 right here, and I'm probably going to do 3 at the bottom, like right here. Oops, I got some of that putty on top of that one. If that happens, just use the other end of your tool, your little pick part, and pull that off. One, and then we're going to put one here, and one more right here. Isn't that gorgeous? I am in love with this card. I think it's so simple and so elegant. I mean, it's not a simple card. As I said, there's a lot of elements that are going on in this card, but it just looks clean and fresh, I think. So now we're going to work on our inside. So I have cut a mat that is 4 by 5 1/4. I cut another one that's 3 3/4 by 5. And I cut another one that's 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So this one right here is the one that we're going to work on first, because this is going to have our stamping. And I have my Stamparatus, and because I have already used this, my stamps are already in position, and they know exactly where they need to go. And I know that I needed to line this up right here. Let me turn that over and make sure. Yep, right here. I'm going to do it on the side I did it on before. I am going to grab a magnet just to hold this in place. And I put some washi tape on my magnets to make them easy to pull. Not to mention that I broke my magnets when I first got them, because I had no clue that these magnets were so strong. So if you get a Stamparatus, I want to caution you to be extremely careful, and I say this every time I use my Stamparatus. These stamps that I'm using comes from nothing better than chocolate. This was Connie Stewart's, and I love Connie. She is a hoot. If you don't follow her, you need to. She is an absolute doll. She's so funny, and I have learned to love Connie. This was her $1 million stamp set. As a Stampin' Up demonstrator, once you reach over your career $1 million in sales, you get to design your own stamp set, and this was hers. And I love this one. And I pulled out, the stamps that I pulled out was, You Are Just Like Chocolate. So right here, let me find it. You are just like chocolate. You make everything better. And I did this for my husband because he is just like chocolate. He makes everything better. So we're going to use our Memento Black for this. And the reason I wanted my Stamparatus is because I thought that I may have to go back. But you want to know what? I didn't the first time. I inked these up and I didn't have to go back. And I was so happy because anytime you don't have to go back and stamp, that's always a good thing. But the Stamparatus makes it so that if you need to, and the fact that I've already got my paper, if you were doing multiple cards like this, you could just keep stamping, stamping, stamping. So we're going to bring this over, and I am going to show you a trick. I'm going to use my cloth and just rub. Just rub, because nothing's moving. And that really just pushes that ink into that paper. One go and we're done. I love it, I love it, I love it. Now if you noticed, I left a space over here. That's where we're gonna stamp our chocolates. So I'm gonna, y'all know me, I have to clean my pads as I go. So I am just gonna take this ugly microfiber towel that y'all see me use all the time. This is why it's inky. I spray a little bit of my Stampin' Mist right on here, and I just wipe, wipe, wipe. And because this is microfiber, I'm not getting lint on my stamps. So they're clean now and ready to go back on the block. So I'll put those away once we finish the video. So that's how I clean my stamps off of my Stamparatus. I'm going to close up my Memento ink, and I'm going to grab an Early Espresso and a soft suede. And I could have done that. You know what? Let's bring this back up. We're going to do it right on our Stamparatus. And the reason for that, I won't have to bring out another pad because we've already got this in here. So I am going to put that magnet back here because that's just going to help stabilize my paper. Don't have to, but you know, it's there, so why not use it? The first thing I'm going to do is do the outline of my chocolates. So here is my outline, and I'm going to put those where I want them, and I think I want my chocolates right there, and I want to make sure I'm getting them nice and straight. So then I'm going to pick them up, and I'm going to come over into that Early Espresso because that's going to give us a nice dark rich chocolate look, and I'm going to stamp those right there. Beautiful, aren't they? But they're going to get prettier because we're going to make those some milk chocolate by using our soft suede. Soft suede makes a beautiful, and I'm going to lay this over top of them just like that, and then I'm going to press down. And anytime that you're doing these solid stamps, press down on your stamp. Sometimes you'll get air bubbles under there, and it will keep them from grabbing the ink like you want them to. So let's close up this Early Espresso before I put my hand in it. Look, I've got red ink on there. How did I get red ink on my Early Espresso? I get ink all over everything, y'all. Alright, here we go. We are going to ink this up. I'm going to hold that. I'm just inking up. And then I'm going to stamp off over here. I'm going to do that again until I get a nice solid. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going right over top of those chocolates and stamp. Now these are meant not to line up completely correctly. So that's why I don't care how much you stamp these, they are meant to stamp kind of off like that. So if your stamp's off and it drives you crazy, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just the nature of this particular stamp set. Alright, so let's close up our Stamparatus. Alright, so for this one I am going to use Tombow, or the liquid glue, and I am just going to swirl a little bit of glue. You don't want to use a lot, just a little. And I'm going to bring this over and getting my nice little border down. I like to take my bone folder, just rub that down. That helps kind of get that glue down so that you don't see the little curly part of the glue. Now for this one I am going to use my Stampin' Seal, and that's because we're doing the white. So this is the Stampin' Seal Plus. I do prefer the Plus over the regular. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think for the quality of the product, it's much better. So I'm just running little tidbits of adhesive across the bottom and the sides, one little piece in the middle, and then I am going to lay this to the side like that before I commit. That needs to come over this way just a hair, and that looks good. So, and you can do the same thing with this. You can just run your bone folder over it. Now we're ready for this to go down and go into our card. So for this one I'm just going to do the liquid glue again. This will give me a little wiggle room. You know, sometimes us girls need a little wiggle room. You know, hey, when we're trying to get in that pair of jeans that's maybe just a little bit too tight, you want to talk about some wiggling? A little wiggle room, right girls? Alright, here we go. Let's put this down like so. And it's done and it's beautiful and I love it. I hope y'all have enjoyed the process of watching me throw this card together because it was so much fun. And I hope that if you like any of these products that you will hop over to my website. It'll be listed in the description below and you can find all of these products. I will list them under products I used and with an order number in case you want to go shopping. I want to make it easy for you. Beautiful, beautiful die set and stamp set. Always in my heart. Nothing better than chocolate. The Nothing Better Than Chocolate also comes with a die set. So if you want that and you want to bundle it. Also our, what did I do with my dies? Aha. Here's the dies that goes with this set. And you get the banner. You get this beautiful little border. You also get that up on a flat surface, you get these little hearts that will cut out a whole bunch of little hearts. You could cut some of those out and stick some in there, and red would be absolutely beautiful. You could also embellish with the little red hearts, which would be really cute. You get flowers on here. I have not used the flowers yet. I did stamp a couple of them early just playing with them, but I haven't actually done anything with them yet because the stamp set has these flowers. See these beautiful little two-step flowers? They are so cute. This set is not just for Valentine's Day. Look at, here's to another year of happily ever after. Beautiful anniversary card. Happy anniversary. The best kind of friend is the kind like you. You could send this to one of your best friends. You had me at hello. Love that. That stamps out gorgeous too. So when you're using the photopolymer stamps, you remember you do have to condition them just a little bit at first, but not much, and I've got to clean that one out before I put it away. I am such a stickler for making sure that my tools are nice and clean. But anyway, let me move all this out of the way and let's zero in on this beautiful card and the message that it says inside. Like I said, this is going to be for my hubby because he does make everything better. He is such an awesome man and I'm blessed to have him. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and as I always say in closing, I love each and every one of you so very much. You mean the world to me. Y'all are my family, and I treat you like family. If you need me for anything, give me a call. My phone number is listed on my website. If I do not answer, a lot of times I'm busy, please leave me a message and I will hear your message and I will give you a call back. Leave me your name. You don't have to leave your number because I use my cell phone for everything, so it will come up on my cell phone, your number, along with your voicemail. But leave me a voicemail if I don't answer. I love you all so very much, and until we craft again, let everything, and I mean everything that you do and say, bring glory to our Father in heaven. He's so worthy of our praise and our honor. I love you all so much, and until we craft again, bye-bye.